Thanks. Hi, I'm Johnny, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to tell my story. So, I've always been kind of a rebel. I was actually born a rebel. When my mom gave birth to me, I took one look, and I was like, hell no, and I scrambled right back up into that womb where it was nice, warm, and cozy. That was my first rebel moment. My most recent rebel moment was I just took a dump, and I didn't wash my hands. So that was my latest rebel moment. So thank you for the high fives, everybody. I really don't need the microphone, but so anyway, so let me get on with the story. All right, so I was living in Atlanta, and there was I was just kidding about all that, everybody. I'm really much a German folk. So I was living in Atlanta. I was working in the film industry at the time. I was art directing TV commercials. We were making movies. Atlanta's a big film hub. And so there was this place called The Lofts. And it was just this giant old factory that was abandoned for about 25 years. And what they did is they went in, they renovated it all, and they started turning them into condos. And so they got half of it done. And during that time, something happened with the construction, and the place caught on fire. And it was really big national news because this was like a huge fire. And there was this guy, he was like up in a crane, and the fire was like so big that it started licking the bottom of the crane. And so they were trying to figure out how to save this guy, like get a helicopter to him. And it took literally like 7 hours before they got to this guy, and the crane was actually melting. So this guy was gonna die. And so everybody was scrambling. And like every fire company from all around the city, from 30 miles away, 40 miles away, was coming in trying to battle this fire. Before it caught fire, the whole neighborhood of East Atlanta was nothing but these like little shotgun houses that were all there for the factory workers back in the day. And so it was a really crazy time in Atlanta. Now I had friends that lived in East Atlanta right across from the factory, like literally from here to that bar were their houses, and that bar was the factory. It was literally just a tiny little alley street. And so my fiance at the time, we wanted to try to help put out the fires on the houses because the building was so engulfed in flames that burning pieces of rubbish would float across and just ignite the tops of these houses. So we were like, what do we got to do? Because our friends lived there. One was Panorama Ray. Wherever there was a huge event, Ray would show up with his panorama camera and just shoot these amazing panoramics. All his work was going to be gone, maybe 15 years worth of work. He was a fixture there. There was Edible Edie that had Edible Edies, and she was just like this gourmet baker, and she sunk everything in this business. So I went up there and I was like, look, we gotta help, we gotta get these fires out. And the firemen, no, we gotta have our resources for the big buildings. Screw these houses, they're just gonna go. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna accept that. So I ran up to try to help, and the police stopped me, and they're like, you can't come through this barrier. So I ran around the other way, and I went. And these other police were like, no, you can't go through this barrier either. And I was like, listen, my friends' houses are burning, tough shit, we can't do anything. We gotta focus on the big building. So my girlfriend, my fiance and I, we said, we're not gonna put up with this. So we went back to our neighborhood, and we went to get our hoses, because we're filmmakers, we have all kinds of hoses. Well, it turns out we didn't have hoses because they were all on a set for a Charmin, Don't Squeeze a Charmin commercial, where we had to have a bathroom that actually worked. So we had to have like 500 feet of hose to work the sink and the toilet and the shower and all this crazy stuff. So we don't have any hoses. So then we start robbing hoses from all the neighbors. And they're all looking at us like, what are you doing? Because you're like, why are you stealing our hoses? Like, we're going to go help save our friends' houses. So then we got all the hoses. We go up there, and there's the cops. And we're like, holy crap. So then we went around to the other side of the neighborhood, and we just started jumping people's fences, looking around houses, jumping people's fences. We finally got to where the main fire was on my friends' houses. Hooked up hoses, there wasn't any water here. So then we went to another house, hooked up hoses, there wasn't any water there. So finally, thank God, we stole so many hoses because we had to literally like hook a hose up like a whole block away. So we had like maybe 10 hoses all together. And so my friend's roof was on fire, so I shimmied up this tree. My fiance tied a string to a rock and one end to the hose. She chucked it up there, got the hose up, putting out this fire. Oh no, Panorama Ray's house is on fire. That's a big leap between two houses, right? But I had so much adrenaline, I was like, what the hell, I'm gonna go for it, honey. Boo! Bam! And I did it, I made it. So she threw the rock, got it, put out the fire. Well, about 4.5 hours later, I had put out 3 roof fires. And everybody was so happy. And they were still working on the fire across, for the factory. And oh my God, when that thing flashed, like you hear on TV about flashing fires, when everything reaches the optimum temperature and it melts steel. Well, you could feel that flash from across the street and just feel the intensity of the heat. And it like almost singed my face. It was just like I really understood what they meant by flashing. So anyway, they finally got the fire out. They finally saved the guy on the crane. They were packing up, and here I am, stuck on this roof, scared to death to even try to climb down. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm stuck here. So by then the cops kind of chilled out, and my fiance went and got the firemen, and they came with the big ladder, put the ladder up. Here I come, all coming down, scared to death. Like, I don't even know how I got up there, to be honest with you. Adrenaline is a lifesaver at times. And so we ended up saving Edible Edie's, Panorama Ray's house, and not one of those houses that were all slated to get burned got burned. So that's my story.